Hey there, happy Wednesday, Facebook
You
Live
too.
Wednesday.
Absolutely. How you doing, Jen?
I am fantastic. I'm super excited to be here today with you. Ian, how are you?
I'm great. Well, other than being cold and furnace issues and all kinds of stuff that's been going on, but other than that, much better than some of our other veterans that are across the country. Hope you guys are being safe. It has been cold this last couple of weeks, so hope everyone's being safe. But do welcome for this Facebook Live. It should be a great class. There's a great topic, and we're gonna get into it. But really go in there and say who you're serving with or who you serve with, what branch you serve with was what we're talking about. Years you served, if you had deployments, if you have a coach, give them a shout out. All of those things too. But happy to see you here. We'll do our introductions here in about 5 after the hour. But great to see everyone here. And Daryl told me about your all's weather, and I saw your winter wonderland over there too. Is absolutely beautiful.
It is gorgeous.
Memories of Montana are like scrolling through my head whenever I think about those things too.
For me, it's memories of my childhood in Michigan. Very lake effecty, lots and lots of snow. I saw that our totals here by Des Moines, we were at about 23 inches, so just short of 2 feet. And growing up in Michigan, the snow was my favorite part of the winter. Now, I'll tell you, our wind chill got down to 48 below, so that wasn't super fun. But just looking out the window and seeing like you said, winter wonderland, I love it. I'm so happy. I'm giddy about the snow, and we're a 4-wheel drive family, so Jeep, trucks, we're enjoying it.
Yeah, that's what I miss about it too, was all that too. But got some Army veterans in here. Welcome, Destin. I'm sorry, Joel, Richard Boblitz, our fellow veteran that joins Coffee with the Coaches all. I'm glad to see you here, Richard. Ted, U.S. Army, Harvey Jones, welcome. 20 years. Wow, man,
Years
that's
as a
awesome,
Marine.
brother.
Salty.
That's what I hear a lot too. Army veteran, 100%. Awesome. Welcome, Duck Ties.
We've got a Mark Nichols, just recently joined VACI. He's connected with Coach JL and given a shout out. So welcome to the Elite Program, Mark. We're happy to have you here in the right place.
For sure. Noreen Reichs, United States Air Force. David Lazarus, 20 years as well. Welcome, brother. Navy veteran Robert, United States Marine Corps, Brian Nemeth. Welcome, everyone. Welcome home, everyone. Robert, I'm not going to butcher your name. I cannot pronounce that, but welcome. Glad to see you here.
Let's see. I'm sorry, my screen keeps bouncing back and forth. We've got people that are going to be checking in all the way through, and we appreciate it, and we love that that you're all here to get some information, to learn about our program, to learn about the content that we're going to share today. And SMC, special monthly compensation, is today's topic. So we'll spend a good chunk. Words are hard. Spend a good chunk of time talking about the special monthly compensation. We're going to introduce ourselves, tell you a little bit about our backgrounds, and then talk a little bit about the VACI Elite program, how our program can benefits our veterans, give you some specifics about what a veteran coach does. What's the role of a veteran coach versus other support individuals, and then talk about how to join the program. And if you're not sure, if you want to join the program, you can have a discovery call to find out exactly how our program may help you, could benefit you before you decide to join. So we'll talk about all of that. And then we will answer some questions. So a lot of veterans, go ahead and start dropping your questions into the chat as they come up. And then when we get towards the end of our conversations, we are going to jump into the chat and start pulling out questions. So no holds barred. We don't necessarily have to have questions about SMC. We're going to have a lot of people that are going to ask questions about some of the upcoming changes within the 38 CFR. So we're happy to talk about that and give out a couple freebies. Get your tinnitus claims filed. Ian, why don't you start out telling us a little bit about yourself, your service, and what you want people to know about you as a veteran coach.
Sure. Been a coach for almost 3 years. Wow, I can't believe it's been that long. Served in the United States Army, if the banner in the back doesn't say it as much. And that unit's a tribulation of why I'm here too. But had 2 deployments, one to Iraq, one to Afghanistan, did 12 years, got medically retired at 90% as a staff sergeant. And for our Air Force vets, that's not an E5, it's an E6 in the Army. And came to VACI after fighting and struggling with the process for about 7 to 8 years with appeals and a lot of spray and praise and stuff like that you may have heard your coach say something about. And was just struggling, was just going through the process and trying to understand it, and it just wasn't working. Nothing was working. My coach Travis really laid down the groundwork and explained everything in the easiest way possible too. And it was so easy to go through the process. He's like, hey man, you got 50% for mental health. Why don't you go after that? And that's what I did. And in 22 days, I was 100% permanent in total because of VACI. Live here in Central Texas, just outside of Austin, where I just said it was relatively chilly. Like I said, what brought me to working with the veteran coach really was the struggle and seeing Brian's videos and like, who is this guy? I keep saying boom and all this other stuff. And learning who he was and learning how electric he was in person was an awesome process. But glad to be here, glad to be the part of the process. And if you are struggling, if you are not a part of the process, get on that discovery call or just get with a coach if you're ready to go. You can go to vaci.com and book a call with a coach, or use that link that says a free discovery call. But Jen, give us your story. Yours is truly instrumental, and I love being a part of what we do together.
I love being part of this team with you on it. Ian, I want to give a shout out to Ian. He is one of the most passionate coaches that I've had the privilege of working with over the past 3 years that I've been at VACI. We start our meetings and our president always invites us to share something good to start off our meetings. And one of the first people in every single one of our team meetings to speak up and celebrate his veterans, no matter what, how small, I'm going to say small, but there's no small win. Ian is always the first one to be celebrating his veterans and sharing the word and just sharing that excitement. One of the absolutely most genuine individuals that I've had the opportunity to be friends with and work with here on our team. So love you, Ian. So I'm a veteran coach, Jen McDonald. I am the daughter, wife, and mother of United States Marines. I did not serve in the military. My passion professionally and in the community has always been to support and serve veterans and give back. Share my gratitude, my pride for the commitment that everyone else that I am able to support has made. My grandfather served in the Army in World War II. My stepfather and my father-in-law are both Army Vietnam vets. My brother-in-laws all served. Our family legacy is military. I have a son who served OEF, OIF, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Jordan as an 0331 with 2-7. And I have a son who's currently serving in the Air Wing, 3rd MA, VMM 165 at Miramar. He's an airframer on the grounded Ospreys. So he's got an interesting story right now. Potentially we'll be joining the 15th MEU soon. So again, professionally in my community, serving veterans is my mission in life, my passion, and it's just what I find myself doing. And there's nothing more fulfilling for me. But stumbling across VACI, connecting with this guy, Brian. I think I want to do more to help veterans. How do I do that? This guy seems to have a good angle on it. Maybe I'll partner up with him and see what he can teach me. And then becoming part of this team. And so far, I'm just on the other side of 3 years. This team is life-changing for me. But the fact that I get to have a part in facilitating positive life change for veterans every single day is the most rewarding professional role I've ever had. And the relationships that I build, the stories that I hear, the conversations that I get to be a part of, the vulnerability that I get to support. It's all a privilege and an honor to me. And being part of this team, I believe that you become what you're meant to, and that you're brought to where you're supposed to be by life. So there are no accidents. That being said, welcome again to today's Facebook Live. We've got some great information related to special monthly compensation. This is kind of a sticking point for a lot of people that don't truly understand what it is, how it's going to benefit you, and how to get it. And then we have a lot of people that, they think that once they hit 100% permanent and total, they want to keep chasing it. Do you poke the bear? Do you go after it? Is it worth it? So these are a lot of things to consider. And Ian and I are going to help you with kind of muddling through and getting a good understanding. And then again, like I said, we'll kind of drop everything and just go to no holds barred conversations. Before we get there, though, we want to talk to you a little bit about how to join VACI and exactly what we can do for you. Bear with us. We'll get there. We just want to make sure everybody has all the information that they're here for.
All right, getting quick the disclaimer. We are not accredited agents, VSOs, attorneys, or any other entity recognized by the Department of Veteran Affairs, the VA, and we are not affiliated with the VA in any way. VA Claims Insider is an education-based coaching consulting company for disabled veterans exploring eligibility for increased VA disability benefits and who wish to learn more about that process. VA Claims Insider also connects veterans with vetted independent medical professionals in our preferred provider network for medical examinations and independent medical opinions for a wide range of disability conditions. All right, that's out of the way. Jen kind of alluded to the SEM method. So we're talking about strategy, education, and medical evidence.
Strategy?
Bottom line, strategy. Strategy. Yeah, everybody gets me on that one, and I do emphasize. I try to emphasize it better, but yes. Your education and your medical evidence. So your one-on-one coaching. That strat session is very important. Of course, this is the one you want to get on the call with your coach as soon as you can. This is one you want to book as soon as you can. Once you have all your documents, all your ducks in a row, maybe your coaches sent you messages, maybe they're your coordinator. I'm kind of going to give that honest to you. It is your elite processing coordinator that is going to help you through the process. And the claim submission, what's that process take? That we're not going to do that for you. Okay. You do have to do that on your own, but they're your coach, or if you have a coach, can be on the phone with you or on a Zoom call with you while you're doing it. The CMP preparation. Okay. That's also an intricate part of this process. Jen and I both are very passionate about this because it's important. This is the most important day. If you don't prep for this day, it's really hard to win a claim. It really is. And having the right preparation, the right tools in your toolbox is super, super instrumental to the process. Jen, you want to go over the live classes?
Yeah, so our live classes are a huge component of our program. So again, we start with the strategy session. And start with the strategy session and develop what's the path of least resistance to achieving your potential, identifying the potential, and then the strategy to meet that potential. To the claim submission. So there's a lot that goes on between the strategy and the claim submission. So developing your medical evidence, identifying what kind of medical evidence that you need. Where does a potential nexus letter or IMO come in here? CMP prep. Absolutely. The CMP prep with regard to your rating and being able to articulate and demonstrate the current severity of your condition, the number one most important day in the process. As far as prepping, this is how we help support that. So all of our resources, our live classes are all via Zoom. We recommend that our veterans start out with the new client orientation. So that helps with expectation setting, understanding the process as best you can before you really hit the ground running. But then we have our prep classes. So we have mental health exam prep, we have medical exam prep, and these classes are all specialized to help you to have the understanding of what you're going to be evaluated on, how the evaluation is going to go, and what you need to know going into that CMP exam. So knowing how you're going to be rated, knowing what's the relevant information that you want to discuss or demonstrate. And how does that all considered and wrapped up into not only your service connection, but your rating. So we're going to talk you through the entire process and then make sure that you are prepped and confident going into your CMP exam. Now, how do you decide whether or not the program is right for you? I mean, we're giving you a lot of information, but we're giving you a lot in a short time. So that's where the value of a discovery call comes in. We have veteran ambassadors that are on the phone all day, every day, sharing the information. Give them a little bit of information about you. When did you serve? Where did you serve? Where are you currently with your VA disability? Have you not started yet? Are you stuck? Do you feel like you're underrated, but not exactly sure where the value is for you? Let them tell you how a veteran coach can help you. And once you determine, yeah, the program is right for me, then you can get connected with a veteran coach and start the process. There's, as far as expectation setting, there's a little bit of legwork that needs to be done between the time that you're with your veteran ambassador and your first call with your coach. You really want your coach to be as educated and aware of your process, of your situation going into that call. So sharing some of your documentation so that they can have a good big picture of where to start. But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of our program: strategy, education, and medical evidence. Medical evidence wins claims. Okay. Education, knowing everything you need to know going into building your claim with your coach. Education is key as well.
Yeah, if you're stuck, you're frustrated, you're hearing this, you're hearing this for the first time, or you've heard this a couple of times from your friends or your family, get on that discovery call. Or like I said before, get on VAClaimsInsider.com and just get assigned to a coach. It can be that simple. But really discussing the topic, like as Jen just alluded to, the 2024 VA special monthly compensation rates have increased to 3.2% starting January 2024, and was announced by the Social Security Administration. Veterans can use a pay chart on our blog to find the 2024 VA SMC rates that may apply. So what is special monthly compensation? Okay, so VA special monthly compensation, also known as VA SMC, is an additional tax-free that is payable to the disabled veteran and their spouses, surviving spouses, and their parents. For disabled veterans, VA special monthly compensation is a higher rate of compensation paid due to a special circumstance. So whatever that circumstance, there's some charts too, some very good pictographs and some good blogs that are on VAClaimsInsider.com about this specific topic too. So we're touching base on some key ones because they're the most important ones and ones you could possibly go after. Such as need of aided attendance by another person, or a specific disability such as loss or creative organ like an erectile dysfunction. Keep in mind, ED is filed when it's filed as a secondary to a condition. It is rated as a 0, and then you get a special monthly compensation for that condition at a certain rate based off of the current COLA. Jenny, you want to take away?
Yeah, so one of the questions that revolves around SMC is, can a veteran receive additional payments for more serious VA disabilities? So the list of conditions that are applicable to special monthly compensation are loss or loss of use of a hand or foot, immobility of a joint, paralysis, loss of sight of an eye, only seeing light, loss or use of a reproductive organ. So that's where we see that benefit, 0% benefit for ED, complete loss or loss of use of both buttocks, deafness of both ears, so no air and no bone conduction, inability to communicate by speech, so completely aphonic. All right. So if you're unable to speak, then that's called aphonia. And if it's complete, then you can get a special monthly compensation there. Loss of a percentage of tissue from a single breast or both breasts for mastectomy or radiation. So again, that's that makes a veteran eligible for consideration of special monthly compensation. Special monthly compensation, again, the most common that we see and that we deal with are special monthly compensation at the K rate, which is statutory housebound. So that's one that they give out pretty regularly, and there's specific criteria. If you're rated at 100%, you're considered to be, for PTSD, you're considered to be housebound, bedridden, or require the aid and attendance of another person, and the VA will tax-free benefit. That's not typed up right. But again, this is the special monthly compensation is on top of the rating that you're receiving. So say you're 70% with ED. You'll have a 0% rating for ED, but on top of your 70% monthly compensation, you'll receive the SMCS benefit, which is, oh my gosh, I think it's like 130 something on top of your benefit. So, and that goes up as the COLA goes up as well. So I think previously it was 128 per month on top of your monthly benefit. And SMCK, which is also a special monthly compensation, also paid on top of your 100% rating. Do I have them backwards? Did I do SMCS and SMCK backwards?
I'm pretty sure you didn't, but
sorry.
Of course, like I said before, there's a really good chart for this too. You can see all the different rates. You can go to va.gov and whatnot too as well, and be able to see those things as well. They'll show the SMCK rates, the SMC, all that stuff as well. So going back to something that we didn't cover as much, but the big part of it is, can the veteran receive additional payments for the serious VA disabilities? You can pay more, or VA can pay more additional compensation above and beyond the veteran's scheduler VA disability rating who has lost some of or all the specific organs or body parts due to military service. So this is the lost part that we're talking about, that loss of organ or an appendage or something to that effect. Here's the example too, and we kind of already talked about this, is, for example, if a veteran is housebound due to their service-connected PTSD, and housebound has to be housebound, not that, you need to be home for whatever reason. Housebound meaning your disability is deeming you that you have to be at home. There's no way of you going outside of it, and such. So housebound or house ridden is also, and requires aid and attendance of another person. So your spouse, another relative, or a nurse has to give that additional attendance to that person because they don't have the ability to do those certain things. And of course, do I get additional VA SMC for pay for dependents? Yes, you do, for your spouse, for your kids, for under the age of 18 or between the age of 18. If you're in school, they do need to be enrolled in a school that is deemed by the VA, and a permanently disabled child before the age of 18 as well. Okay. How do you apply? Well, you don't really apply for SMC. Once you file an initial VA disability claim for a specific increase, the VA rater notices, or known as the RVSR, the Rating Veteran Service Representative, will automatically add your SMC to the benefits, the overall rating. And again, special monthly compensation for XYZ is for your VA disability. This will force the CMP examiner, VSR, RVSR, to consider for the evidence presented that determines if you're eligible for the SMC, whatever that is under the law. So, Jen, you want to go over SMCK since we're down to that one now, and that seems to be the most prevalent. And it looks like the number you had was pretty close to on the money as well.
Yeah.
So
the SMCK requirements. So this is the statutory housebound. So I kind of went over what the criteria was, what you need, and how to apply. So again, more often than not, the SMCK will come automatically. The rater will catch it. But if you're 100% for 100% for one service-connected condition, this is something that can be that you can request to have considered as well. So one of the ways to apply specifically for SMCK is to contact your regional VA office. Once you find the office, give them a call, let them know you want to apply for special monthly compensation. understand when you are 100% permanent in total, any actions that you file beyond that, any claims, any considerations, contentions, issues that you file with the VA can have your P&T status and your 100% rating reconsidered. So really consider, do you want to poke the bear? How much evidence do I have that's going to support? Do I meet all the criteria for sure? And am I going to be able to maintain that 100% rating with regard to the one condition that is rated at 100%? So that's always a consideration. We're always here to have that conversation with you. But for a lot of veterans, it is 100% the best pathway for you to take because of that homebound status or because you meet that criteria. SMC is a case-by-case basis, okay? And sometimes at the rating desk, although it's meant to be automatic, you do need to ask for that special consideration. So if you feel like you're eligible, you don't have a coach, you can reach out to your local VA office, reach out to a coach, get some guidance, get some support on meeting the criteria and how best to go about it. But again, if you're already 100% P&T, consider before you poke that bear because there's a lot at risk. Go ahead.
So what are some of the requirements? To qualify for SMCK, it is a loss. It's a loss or lost of a use of a hand, a foot, the use of both buttocks, a creative organ, the eyes, physical loss of one eye, deafness in both ears, complete organic aphonia with constant inability to communicate by speech. And then female organs, of course, loss of 25% or more of the tissue from one single breast or both breasts in combination. And Jen kind of alluded to this in one of the previous parts that we talked about before, following receipt of radiation treatment of that breast. All this, and as this with the service-connected disabilities, you must have a loss or lost use of part of the body as a result of your military service, aka service connection. So you need a service connection for the disability in order to file for an SMC such as SMCK. How do I file? You kind of already talked about this as far as the regional office. Once you've gone to the regional office, the SMC is awarded on a case-by-case basis. You don't file for SMCK. The VA's responsibility to determine there's a loss or loss of a body part. SMCK, VA has determined that you do or you should call the VA regional office. Your disabilities makes you eligible for SMC. You've got enough on your plate without worrying about the VA. So the VA takes care of this for you. You don't have to worry about filing for it. It can be done through the regional office, like it says, but typically, like what Jen was talking about, it's done on the RVSR's desk. They see it as a condition. Again, poking that bear at 100%, be very, very careful and make sure you got all your ducks in a row if you're going to go after this. If you're with a coach, great. If not, like we said before, get on a discovery call with one of the veteran ambassadors, or just go to vaclaimsinsider.com and book that call as well. But take the next steps today in your VA claims journey. If you could make a significant difference in your life, you're looking for the increase or rating and filing for a first time, reach out and schedule that call. And
I actually have a couple things from our blog that I wanted to add related to Category K. I did see a question pop in related to R1 and R2. So just from our blog, this is the Are You Eligible for Special Monthly Compensation blog at VAClaimsInsider.com. So special notes that are related to SMCK. This is the only level that can be given in addition to other categories and is added to the special monthly amount for any other qualifying category. Okay, so regular VA disability compensation, even if you don't qualify for any other type of SMC, it offers additional money for that condition. Category K can be given even if the condition doesn't qualify, again, for any other SMC. A single amount is given for each body part that is lost or cannot function. And you can have as many Category K amounts as you have qualifying conditions, as long as the total special monthly compensation doesn't exceed the limits noted above, which is your monthly compensation. So if you're at 60%, your special monthly compensation cannot exceed the benefit amount. I did see a note that jumped on that asked about R1 and R2, which is the aid and attendance. And the R1 and R2 levels are determined based on the level of care that a veteran requires. So this is based on your provider's recommendations, okay? R1 is assigned if the level of aid and attendance can be offered by a family member, and R2 is if it needs to be provided by a medical professional like a CNA, an LPN, or even an RN level of care. So those are the differences between R1 and R2 with regard to aid and attendance. Yeah, those are just some notes I wanted to throw out. Again, this is a lot. An SMC is super confusing and very specific. So you want to make sure that you are talking to somebody who has some expertise to help you with navigating. Is it appropriate? Should I expect it? How do I go get it? And then again, that really important question, I'm already 100% P&T. Do I poke the bear?
For sure. And just to allude what you were talking about, just to give clarification, I don't know if this is what you had said before, Jen, SMCK is a flat rate. Okay, so it is a flat rate. That means it doesn't increase. If you have dependents, you get a $132.74, so $132.74 per month, no matter if you're single or have 12 kids. Okay, so that's the other part too. Other SMC compensations, total amount of compensation received must not add up to more than the amount given under category 0 or category O. O is the top limit of these categories. And all this stuff is on our blog about SMC. Just go over it. It is a lot. Okay. So that's where you have to be very specific on what you're going after. The statutory homebound is one of those ones that you can't just live at home and want to be home all the time. It's your service-connected disabilities are deeming you homebound or home driven. So that's home. Yeah. So
I mean, like I said, you know, we can only touch the tip of the iceberg with this topic. So we gave you a lot of information, but really what we want you to do is to continue to educate yourself on this topic, getting with a coach, watching our videos, reading our blogs, but just to kind of plant the seed for veterans who may be eligible to continue to learn more. We've given you a bunch of information and there's so much more that everything is very specific. So we just wanted to start that conversation, plant the seed, and make sure that there is some information out there. But everybody's situation is unique, and making sure that you're getting the information that you need to support making the decisions that you're going to make. And what are you going to pursue? What's the path of least resistance? Where's your value? A veteran coach can help you with that. And here's a very stark clarification with regard to what a veteran coach does. So we are very, very different in our services from what other organizations, VA reps, accredited agents, VSOs, we don't do the same thing. And I think there's a big misconception out there that we do. So one thing that's very clear, we are not going to be filing claims for you. We're not going to be representing you. We're not going to be putting together statements for you. We're your coach, and we're walking through this entire process right next to you, providing support, guidance, education, resources. We can provide support for you while you're walking through filing your claim. We can provide recommendations on what type of medical evidence you're going to need to best support your claim for success. But we're not doing any of it for you. We're essentially a personal trainer for your VA claims. Okay. So you're coming to us in a certain situation with a goal. And based on our expertise and our experience, we're going to help you to determine what is the best strategy for you to achieve the potential and success achieving the potential. But we're not doing it for you. And that's a huge misunderstanding. A lot of people think that, what? You're not going to sign into my va.gov and do all this for me? No. We're not going to do that. We're going to be right alongside you as you do it, give you the best guidance and support we can, and help you to understand exactly how the process is going to go. So again, deciding whether or not a veteran coach is going to be the right person to help you through this process, sign up for a discovery call, get on the phone with one of our veteran ambassadors, and really just kind of talk through your situation. Let them determine. And, sometimes we even get to the point where we're doing a strategy call. We're on our strategy call and we identify, listen, you don't need me. Here's a couple quick tidbits, but you may not need a coach. Other veterans are going to so appreciate having the guidance and the support. And you know what? More than anything else, one of our best qualities as a coach is being able to fuel the tenacity of our veterans and keep you in the game. Because whether you have a coach or a VSO or you have all the knowledge yourself, going through the VA process is daunting and it's frustrating and it can be devastating when you get some denials. Having somebody who is right there on the phone, we're staying in the game, you're staying in the fight, you're going back at it. There's more, there's always more. And your coach helps you to be prepared to deal with any outcome with regard to a claim. So again, just consider it. This is what we do. This is our passion. And making sure that the veterans have the best information and the best likelihood for success going into their claims is where we find joy and fulfillment. That being said, Ian, do you want to take us into Q&A? Do you have anything else that you want to hit on for SMC? I know.
No, I don't think so. I think you covered it. Do check out that blog. It has a wealth of knowledge. We're going to go over through a couple of these questions that are really bringing in and kind of touching on some of these things too. So definitely get with that blog. It talks about the different categories of, SMCN, SMCM, M-2. There's several different kinds, and it gets a little muddy in the waters if you don't know what you're looking at. So really be specific and make sure that's the one that you're getting. That's the big part of it too. And like I said, the highest rating and qualifying is for SMCO. But other than that, Q&A is definitely there.
And I actually, I just saw Jay's beers. This is so confusing. SMC is so confusing, and understand that more often than not, a veteran there's not qualification other than most commonly for SMC S and SMCK. All the other ones are, they're rare. And it is confusing. And there's a really good likelihood that it's not even something that a lot of the veterans that are here today qualify for. It's just something that you want to have in the back of your mind. But definitely, chatting with a coach and seeing, what's my potential and do I meet any of the criteria for SMCs? It's a good conversation to have. And just to clarify again for Q, ED and female sexual arousal disorder, these are very similar. So we highlight ED, but just understand that it is an applicable consideration for females as well. So sorry if we left that out. We highlight ED, we call it ED, we default to ED, but for females as well, there is a consideration for special monthly compensation related to arousal disorders.
I think David's got the first question.
Sure.
It's a pretty common one too. It says, I'm 100% and currently receiving the monthly special monthly compensation. Like I said, I'm 100% and I will as well rated as unemployable for the last 6 years. My question is, would I love to get a job, but thinking would give up my SMC? Is this correct? It could. It depends.
I don't think it would take as SMC. I think that the fact that you are rated unemployable, that is where the gray area is. So veterans who have SMCS are still eligible to work, even though it sounds like there's a big discrepancy with being statutory housebound. There are veterans who go to work every single day and are considered to be housebound. They're getting that benefit because of a calculation. So it's kind of a default benefit. So statutory housebound, although you have to meet specific requirements, you don't necessarily have to actually be homebound. I think with David's question, the clarification really goes to the unemployable status. If you're 100% based on individual unemployability, then you would need to address that and be 100% scheduler before you could go back to work. And your benefit would always say TDIU. It would also always say it. But once you're 100% scheduler, permanent and total, then you wouldn't be subjected to the income limitations. The SMC again would likely stay. I just think it's the unemployable designation with regard to this question that would be the gray area with regard to working.
Yeah, I would definitely see the confusion there too. Good to know for sure. We don't always know the question. We don't always know the answers. That's why we lean on each other. And I'm glad Jen jumped into that one because she's very knowledgeable on some of these subjects that, that's what I do. I lean on her and she leans on me. We lean on other coaches. We lean on our veteran coach managers because they're the kind of the systematic experts. But there's coaches here that are also systematic experts about this stuff. But if you have a question, and I always tell people there's no stupid questions. So anything in here, we'll do our best to answer.
I had asked, I'd asked our team behind the scenes. We've got VCM Caleb, we've got Genesee back there, and I think we have Geraldine that are helping us with starring specific questions, and we're able to communicate. So thank you guys behind the scenes for being quick with keeping us up to date on the comments and the questions. So specific to the same question, I asked them to star La Mercy healthcare. Can someone with 100% PNT with SMCS work? So there is a very stark difference between SMC and TDIU. Temporary disability due to individual unemployability, you are deemed to be unemployable. So based on that designation and your disabilities, you have been deemed by the VA as unable to work. So there is an income limitation. There is a very different process for coming about being deemed individual or being deemed unemployable as opposed to SMC. Again, SMC is often automatic and just based on the designations related to your ratings and the combination of your ratings and the conditions that you're rated for. Disability due to temporary disability due to individual unemployability is a very different process, and sometimes it's more of a legal process than a medical process. And you have to be able to prove that because of your conditions, you're not able to hold down any job, whether it's at home and online, whether it's out in the community, whether it's postal, whether it's you're deemed to be unable to hold down a job at all. So once you prove that you are able to work, then the consideration goes away and you have to go back through that process. There are a lot of veterans out there that are eligible for and probably have the potential to be 100% PNT scheduler that stopped at TDIU. And I have that conversation a lot with veterans who are wanting to chase down TDIU. Let's look at what's your potential to go PNT so you maybe don't have that income limitation. But again, yes, there is a difference between SMC, specifically that statutory homebound, and TDIU. Sorry, I'm just kind of scrolling through the questions.
Shane Wendy's got a question. Anyone had any luck filing migraines and vertigo secondary to tinnitus?
I didn't see that one. I'm sorry. Could you read that again?
Shane Wendy Adams has a question that says, anyone had any luck with filing migraines and vertigo secondary to tinnitus? So you could have secondaries to a secondary to a secondary. Okay, so if you do have the symptoms for vertigo and you do have the symptoms for migraines, absolutely. There's no question that you could file. Any luck? I would say migraines, yes. But really knowing your symptoms and understanding those symptoms and getting diagnosed for those conditions is a big part of it too. Remember, always, always, always speak to your symptoms, not to your diagnosis. You may have vertigo, you may have migraines, but make sure you understand those symptoms and you understand the condition. It doesn't mean you have to go to 30th CFR and look it up.
Right.
But you could check out the blog. We got blogs about migraines. We got blogs about vertigo. We have blogs about tinnitus and the secondaries to those. So highly advise checking out the migraine blog and the tinnitus blog, because there's some good stuff about that. I remember seeing one for vertigo, but I haven't seen vertigo secondary to at least tinnitus, because it is a vestibular condition. Okay. And that's the big part of it too. So are you feeling teetery when you get next to a curb or something like that? That's just kind of an example of what vertigo could be. Be careful when you're driving. I mean, that's something that's you want to be cognizant of too. Are you stopping because you're getting dizzy or whatever that happens to be? But definitely check out any of the blogs that are on VAClaimsinsider.com about those conditions. I personally have not had anything as far as vertigo, but definitely migraine secondary to tinnitus for sure. Jen, how about you? Anything with vertigo?
So vertigo, to me, the perspective sometimes gets a little bit muddled. So sometimes we see a little bit of resistance with service connection as by claiming it as a secondary. But I think the Nexus letters do a really good job of clearing that up. And for both of these, for any secondaries, you're going to want one to be able to speak to how. How do you believe that your tinnitus is contributing to your migraines? Are you experiencing them at the same time? Physiologically, yeah, there's a connection. But for you, when you're establishing your medical evidence, how do you feel that there is a connection? And then as far as vertigo, when I coach my veterans on vertigo secondary to tinnitus, it's really, hard to explain, but it's not really secondary. It's actually related to the same exposure that caused your tinnitus. So it goes all the way back to that noise exposure on active duty. So getting the documentation to support that can sometimes be hard, because when you file a claim as a secondary, the mentality is immediately, well, how is vertigo secondary to tinnitus? So having that Nexus letter that really says it's kind of a sister condition. Tinnitus and vertigo are both kind of based in that initial, that noise exposure that caused the ringing in the ears. And sometimes the ringing in the ears is more evident far more early on than the vertigo and the imbalance that comes throughout life. So being able to speak to the symptoms 100%. Second, get a medical opinion that supports the connection. How is vertigo and tinnitus related? How are migraines caused by or aggravated by your tinnitus? So that way you're going to have a higher likelihood of success going into your claim, because that Nexus is going to write it all out. But that's all that's kind of my perspective on that one. I did see a question from, I think it was Rosemary. Rosemary Losada was diagnosed with vasovagal syncope back in 95, and she does get a small percentage. They should be able to clear up someday, but when she goes to the cardiologist, they tell you there's nothing they can do for you. And I think just kind of based on veterans and individuals in when I worked in healthcare, vasovagal is related. I think it's more kind of not pulmonary. I want to say that it's related to veins and arteries, but I'm not a doctor. I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express once. But if it's neurological, and it really, I don't think it matters what the base is. If you're service connected and your symptoms have increased over the years, then you can definitely go back and speak to the severity of your symptoms and be considered for an increase there. And that's what an increase is. If you're already service connected for a condition and you've been rated for that same condition for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, and those symptoms have gotten worse or the impairment is worse, you could be eligible for an increase in that rating. So look at the rating scale, see how they rate you. What's the severity of the symptoms? Does it meet the 30% versus the 10%? Make sure you have medical evidence going into a claim, but you might be eligible for an increase just based on the severity of your condition gotten worse. And again, I just kind of overthought that, and we tend to do that. It really doesn't matter if it's cardio, if it's pulmonary, if it's neurological. You're already service connected, so you don't have to fight that battle. It really comes down to the current severity of your condition and how that correlates to the rating scale. Ian, what do you got next?
One that I started out, and I'm going to kind of pair off to this one because it's really going to talk about chronic migraines. Do you have any information on pseudotumors, cerebi, and chronic migraines? Well, if that condition, if that tumor is causing this other condition, and you've got document proof, and it goes back to the nexus too. Jen kind of alluded to this. We're not doctors. We don't know these conditions. I don't think I even know what that is. I know it's a tumor of some kind that has something to do with the brain. So if that is what's causing it, and you notice this after you were diagnosed with this tumor, then it very good possibly could be caused by that migraines. And there could be a nexus to prove that. You just have to know that one of the conditions would have to be from service. You have to be able to prove it's from service, and that's based off of that nexus. Medical evidence wins claims, guys and gals. That's the bottom line. And if you've got good concrete evidence and get a nexus that is done by a good preferred provider network, it's really hard for the VA to not give you the service connection for the disability. I've used them. Many of the coaches have used them. Telemedic has been an instrumental part of this whole process, but they are a preferred provider network that we prefer because they know how to write this stuff. They know how to do it correctly what the VA is looking for as far as in the correct manner. Hope that helps. That's the best understanding I can give you for that one, because that's definitely a doozy. And if you are with your coach, get with them, because you might already have documentation that can look over with you to kind of build up a good game plan as far as that goes. I'm going to work on saying that strat word, because I'm definitely a victim for that, and people caught me up on that one. I'm good. I can say strat, I can say game plan. I'm good with that too.
Strat and game plan.
Yep. It looks like Rich has got a good question too. Yep. I'm kind of going down the line. Coaches have you seen an SMC successful filed secondary to example depression without a nexus? Jen?
Yeah. So I mean, again, here, let's do this. Everybody's situation is different. So maybe we've seen it. Yes, we've seen it. But as a blanket statement, I mean, I don't want to say because you're, first of all, we need a lot more information than just kind of that. And Richard is you're a veteran of our veteran program. So I think it's not really a cop out to say we can't really answer. Yes, we've probably seen it. But every situation is different, and we really have to dig down into what are all of the contributing conditions and issues before we can make a recommendation and say, this would be applicable to you. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen all kinds of different situations. We've seen things that were mistakes and connections that were, errors, but they were successful. So, I mean, we look at decision narratives. We look at the screenshots of combined ratings and the individual ratings all day, every day. And we've seen it all. I've seen a veteran that I could carry on a conversation with on the phone who was rated at 40% for hearing loss. And that's a unicorn. So I've seen a unicorn. So, I mean, we see all kinds of things. It's a matter of each individual situation and each individual strategy, what the potential is. And so I don't want to just kind of drop that one and not really answer it, but there's just not really an answer for that one. I do have a couple that I'd like to pull out, though. I want to jump to Mitch, a question about VA medical records. If you find medical records that are incorrect, how could you go about having them changed, or can you? By all means, Mitch, go to your provider and pull out the inaccuracies to them. Listen, this is what's documented, but this isn't right. If you recall, so I mean, I don't want to tell you what to say to your provider, but definitely go to your provider. Let them know that you have identified what you believe to be inaccuracies in your documentation. Because especially if you're going to a specialist or you're ever changing doctors, you want all of that information to be dead on accurate. These are your medical records. You're going to be treated for life based on what's in these records. So advocate for yourself with regard to accuracy in your records. And then just really quick, Dylan Thomas Collins, with me being 90%, do I have an income limitation? No. Income limitations are only related to temporary disability due to individual unemployability. If you have a designation, and it will be clear, there's another one that says, I have P&T verbiage in my decision letter, nothing about it. If you are designated unemployable, you will know because you will have applied for it. Or hopefully if a VSO applied for you, they talk to you about it, but you will know if there is a designation of unemployability. It's not something they're going to sneak in on you. So don't worry about any income limitations, 100% P&T. You're going to know if there's limitations, and you're going to have a whole packet explaining the TDIU to you.
For sure. And just real quick, I'm seeing a lot of questions about different SMCs. If we could get the blog post dropped in there about the SMCs and the different ones, that'd be great. I think that would be super, super helpful because I'm seeing SMCK, SMCK, SMCR.
Yeah.
There's several in here, and there's a longer conversation for all of those because this is literally a very large blog post that talks about each and every one. But if you go to vaclaimsinsider.com and type in SMC, you'll find the one that you're probably looking for because this literally has every single SMC on the list for the VA. Or you can go to va.gov too. They also have a list of them on there as well. The requirements, the things you need to meet, because it is very specific.
Caleb, if you're, there it is. It looks like it was just dropped in the chat, our special monthly compensation from A to Z blog, but also just type in our blog, special monthly compensation. I think there are 4 extremely good, and I refer to them and share them with my veterans whenever we're talking about any type of SMC. That being said, guys, we are at the last minute, and there's just a couple things that we want to cover. And one of the very last things that is very important is Brian's book, You Deserve It, the 2nd edition, is now available. Brian's publications are extremely valuable. So if you're not getting them, you don't have them, you can download a free copy by going to youdeserveitfree.com. Okay. You can order the actual paperback from Amazon. And just so you know, I have 20 of them on my steps going downstairs to my husband's office. And I actually give them out in the community, but you can download a free copy by going to youdeserveitfree.com. Anybody who asked a question in our chat that we weren't able to get to, 1, we want to apologize. We're so contained by this 1 hour, but 2, just know that we'll be going back after the live is over to make sure that everybody gets an answer to their question. Okay. So SMC questions, we've got amazing resources out there. I think that we have actually a couple new YouTube resources that we're going to be doing over the next couple of months specific to SMC. But it's just so in depth that being able to cover it and still get to our question and answers is just so much. So please use our resources, reach out, do a discovery call with one of our veteran ambassadors, get connected with a coach, get Brian's books. I mean, there's so much information out there that you cannot help but become educated when you start digging in.
For sure. And again, strategy, education, medical evidence, it's what wins claims. Claim submission, CMP preparation, we can't emphasize that so much. This is the most important day. Live classes 3 times a day, coffee with coaches every 8 a.m. Central, unless we have a get your stuff done date, and then of course mental health on Monday and Thursday, Monday at 7, Thursday at 12 p.m. Central, medical exam prep for Monday and Tuesday as well, and those classes that are conducted each and every week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for bearing with us through this whole entire process, through this class. So if you do need help, reach out to the organization via claimsinsider.com. We love to partner up with you with your claim journey, with your process, and glad to see you. Jen, it's always a pleasure to do class with you.
Always, Ian, always. Thank you guys for the great questions. Your questions show how committed you are to making sure that you have the right rating. So hopefully make sure you have the right support and go get it. You served, you deserve. Go get it.
Absolutely. See you next time.